They called it a justified cleansing. The ascendancy sent a fleet, 17 dreadnoughts strong, into the Orion colonies. No warning, no formal declaration. One moment, cities hummed with life. The next, they were ash fields. 99 million humans. Farmers, scientists, children, entire families reduced to carbon shadows. Communications blacked out. Rescue ships intercepted and destroyed. No survivors. The aliens claimed it was strategic necessity. They feared humanity spread. They feared the fire inside us. Earth didn't respond. Not immediately. Not publicly. The galaxy watched. Expected retribution. Maybe another war. But Earth stayed quiet. Silent embassies. No military movements. No threats. Just static from the homeworld and the cold, measured closing of Earth's interstellar gates. Whispers began to grow among the other species. Had humanity finally broken? Had the Terran Federation, so feared for their tenacity, lost the will to fight? The Ascendancy laughed, declared victory, declared peace, called themselves bringers of order. Their broadcast showed smiling counselors toasting over footage of burning human cities. They mistook silence for surrender. Then ships began to vanish. Not fleets, individual vessels. Supply runners. Patrol units. A frigate here. A scout cruiser there. Not destroyed. Not attacked. Just missing. No debris. No black box. No distress call. Gone. And still, Earth said nothing. Then a corpse showed up. An Ascendancy general. Well-known, brutal, decorated. Found seated upright in his command chair. Inside a locked ship drifting at the edge of neutral space. No wounds. No signs of forced entry. Just a single item placed gently in his lap. A human child's toy. The Ascendancy passed it off as sabotage. A rogue element. An internal betrayal. But then it happened again. And again. Another commander. Then a diplomat. Then an admiral. Different sectors. Same results. Each time, the victim found alone, untouched, seemingly unafraid, until autopsies revealed complete neural collapse. Not trauma. Not poison. Fear. So intense the brain shut down like a breaker blown under too much current. Still no message from Earth. But across the galaxy, old names began surfacing in quiet, frightened whispers. The Boogeyman. The Baba Yaga. Old Terran myths, once used to scare children, now carried across war rooms in hushed tones. The Boogeyman, they said, had no face. No heat signature. No sound. You never saw him. You only found what was left behind. A closed door. A weapon discharged but never fired. Bodies, whole and untouched. Eyes wide open, staring at a ceiling no one else could see. And the Baba Yaga, she was something else. She didn't sneak. She didn't stalk. She walked through scanners without a blip. Smiled at you before she struck. Her kills were art. Bloodless. Painless. Precise. But she left things. A childhood photo on the wall. A strand of hair on the console. A nursery rhyme recorded onto the ship's data core. Played at half speed and warped into nightmare. No one knew if they were real. No one wanted to find out. The Ascendancy tightened security. Triple guards. Installed psychic barriers. Shifted protocol daily. It didn't matter. Those who were targeted vanished anyway. And those who weren't started to crack. Soldiers turned on each other. Officers refused assignments near human space. Recruitment collapsed. Reports surfaced of elite warriors weeping in corridors, muttering about shadows. The fear was no longer in what Earth might send. It was what it already had. But back on Earth, no parades. No announcements. The Boogeyman and Baba Yaga didn't appear in press releases. No hero medals. No command logs. No acknowledgement. Because they weren't soldiers. They were not trained. They were designed. The product of forgotten black labs buried deep beneath Terran soil. Their existence erased before they were born. Unshackled. Uncontrolled. Their only directive was a frequency. A signal. A call to wake up. And it had been sent the moment Earth saw the 99 million dead. Some on the Ascendancy Council started to realize too late. This wasn't war. This wasn't retaliation. This was ritual. An old ritual. The kind Earth hadn't used in centuries. Not since the last time something hunted their children. It was never about reclaiming lost territory. Never about diplomacy. Earth never even attempted to engage in battle. It simply answered blood with silence. And silence with monsters. It unleashed legends. And for the first time in history, the galaxy understood exactly what humanity had meant all those years when they warned. You don't start a war with Earth and expect to win. You start a war with Earth and hope they don't remember your name. The first confirmed sighting came from surveillance drone orbiting the CalledAmerican system. The footage lasted 7 seconds. It showed a humanoid figure stepping out of a sealed command bunker. No entry breach, no environmental suit, no alarm triggered. The figure looked up at the drone, then the feed cut to black. When the recovery team arrived, they found no bodies, no blood, just armor stacked neatly in piles. Weapons untouched. The command console displayed one word, BO. 3 days later, a high-value Ascendancy convoy failed to report in. When scouts investigated, they found a flagship drifting near an asteroid belt. The ship's AI was intact. The crew were not. All 62 personnel were accounted for, each asleep in their bunks. No signs of violence. No trauma. All dead. Hearts stopped. Brains undamaged. Like they had simply forgotten to wake up. The ship's PA system played a human child's voice counting backwards from 10. 2 days after that, the Baba Yaga was confirmed. Her mark was different, precise, elegant, surgical. She infiltrated a war council mid-session. Surveillance showed 10 alien generals discussing Earth's defenses. At timestamp 1432, one by one, they began collapsing. No sounds, no struggle. Their bodies later showed no trace of injury. The only clue was a single phrase carved into the table in Terran Standard. No gods. No mercy. They began to understand. Earth had not sent armies. It had sent whispers, legends, prototypes long buried in the archives of Terran fear programs. Project Nightshade, Project Holloman, Project Matryoshka. Programs once deemed too dangerous, too unstable, too human. Now reactivated. These were not assassins, not black ops. These were psychological weapons wearing skin. Precision forged for one purpose, to make fear contagious. Commanders began refusing to speak in open rooms. Officers taped their bunk doors shut at night. Barracks flooded their vents with neurotoxins just in case. There were no engagements, no battles, just the slow unraveling of structure, of reason, of confidence. A comm station in the Grelth Quadrant intercepted an unauthorized signal. It looped for 4 hours. The voice was Terran female, calm and melodic. Close your eyes. Take a breath. You'll never feel the knife. Investigators traced it to a buoy orbiting an uninhabited moon. Inside the buoy, a hand. Not a human one. Ascendancy, partially burned, fingers outstretched as if reaching for help. The galaxy had seen human soldiers. They had seen our fleets, our weapons, our pride. What they hadn't seen, what no one was prepared for, was what happened when Earth removed its leash. When it stopped trying to be part of something greater, and instead became the thing greater civilizations feared in the dark. Command staff began posting death notices early, assuming their roles would draw attention. Security detail numbers tripled and still failed. One general died mid-sentence during a live broadcast. The transmission continued for 30 seconds before cutting. Only silence and his body visible behind a flickering monitor. The Boogeyman never left clues. He didn't need to. The absence was enough. Lights left on in sealed rooms. Hallways with boot prints leading nowhere. Every mystery a weight on the chest. Every silence a scream waiting to happen. The Baba Yaga was worse. She played with time. Security footage would show her face reflected behind glass seconds before someone died. Doors sealed airtight would open only for her. Lockdown protocols overwritten by code no human ever programmed. Aboard the dreadnought Hailgrin, her final act was leaving the phrase, "I forgive you," etched into the captain's spine. Whispers traveled faster than ships, and fear spread like wildfire through vacuum. Ascendancy Command created new classifications, Omega Threat Entities. Containment teams sent to investigate came back catatonic or not at all. One survivor, when revived, simply repeated the phrase, "It wore his face." It knew my daughter's name. The myth grew, and that was the genius. These weren't soldiers winning battles. They were stories, weaponized folklore, infiltrating the enemy's mind, breaking them before a trigger was ever pulled. Recruitment among alien colonies plummeted. Some species withdrew from the ascendancy entirely, declaring neutrality to avoid attracting attention. One empire offered Earth tribute. No answer. Earth didn't speak. Earth hunted. The Boogeyman left a message once. Just once. Burned into the hull of silent cruiser floating near a binary star. It said, "For every child you burned, I will take 10 more. But not yours. Yours I leave to fear." And still, Earth claimed no responsibility. Denied everything. No public broadcasts. No threats. No diplomacy. Because it didn't need to. It had already taught them the lesson. You kill 99 million humans, you don't get justice. You get haunted. And the monsters Earth buried to protect the galaxy? They weren't just awake. They were having fun. By the third week, entire fleets refused deployment near human sectors. Not from orders, out of fear. Disobedience became common. Mutiny wasn't rare. In one recorded case, a captain executed his own command staff, convinced the Baba Yaga had taken their forms. There was no evidence, but none dared question him. No one wanted to find out. Propaganda collapsed. The ascendancy could no longer spin the narrative. They stopped calling them anomalies. They started calling them inevitables. The Boogeyman was reportedly sighted in 5 systems simultaneously. 5 different sectors reported identical kills, matching method, signature, and timing. Impossible, which meant there was either a coordinated unit, highly unlikely, or there was more than one. That was the moment dread turned to horror. Messages from deep space stations were intercepted mid-sentence. One ended with, "I hear breathing behind the walls." No one was there. Troop morale fractured. Some soldiers sabotaged their own transports to avoid being stationed near human influence zones. Others defected outright, offering information to Earth for the promise of safety. Earth responded with silence. They weren't recruiting. They were watching. The Baba Yaga began disrupting dreams. Literally, a neural weapon was activated. Classified tech once thought theoretical, capable of transmitting subliminal signals across long-range frequencies. Sleep cycles of alien officers showed synchronized disruptions. Shared nightmares. The same voice. The same phrase, "Don't look behind the curtain." Deserters filled border worlds. Panic spread among civilian populations. Riots broke out across ascendancy colonies. Religious groups claimed the Terrans had summoned demons. Some believed they were dealing with gods. Neither was correct, but neither was wrong. One ascendancy admiral locked himself in his bridge for 12 days. Ate nothing. Spoke to no one. When the door was breached, they found him staring at a wall covered in Terran children's drawings, each one depicting a human with hollow eyes and a blade where its heart should be. No explanation. No survivors. His entire crew had vanished. Intelligence reports showed internal disintegration. Fear was now the dominant force within the ascendancy ranks. They created secret task forces to hunt the anomalies. None returned. Surveillance logs showed operatives turning weapons on themselves within minutes of landing. All Earth had done was unleash 2 names, and yet the psychological damage outstripped any conventional invasion. The Boogeyman and Baba Yaga weren't just assassins. They were contagions. Their legend mutated with every whisper, every story. Truth and myth blurred until they became the same thing. Alien academies revised curricula to include human folklore. Not for study, for survival. Recruit manuals warned against entering dark corridors alone. Rites began. Superstitions. Soldiers refused to utter the code names. Some cut out their tongues rather than report a sighting. The ascendancy enacted Protocol Null, an emergency doctrine never before used. It allowed unrestricted weapon use, black ops purging, and system-level evacuations. Entire planets were abandoned. Whole sectors burned by their own to deny human access. Yet, Earth never stepped foot on those worlds. Didn't need to. The war had inverted. Now the enemy fought shadows. Baba Yaga left a message across a hacked ascendancy frequency. We're not angry. We're just awake now. The transmission included no source, no signature. Only that phrase on loop, accompanied by a slow human heartbeat. A major supply convoy detonated itself rather than continue. No enemy contact, no breach, just a final log entry. He smiled at me. He was inside the mirror. Recruitment for ascendancy forces dropped by 70%. Border colonies refused military protection. Some species began arming themselves independently, not to fight humans, but to destroy any ship carrying human survivors, fearing the monsters would follow. And still, Earth stayed silent. It never needed to respond with fleets or nukes. It had answered the massacre of 99 million with 2 names. That was enough, because the galaxy didn't fear death. It feared not knowing when it would come, not knowing what form it would take, not knowing if it had already arrived. It feared the sound of a lullaby over an empty channel. It feared the faint impression of boots in a sealed chamber. It feared the thought that the monsters weren't hunting anymore. They were choosing, not for strategy, for sport. Because once humanity was hurt, truly hurt, it didn't cry. It made legends real, and let the galaxy choke on the silence that followed. The Ascendancy Council convened in secret, deep beneath a shielded fortress moon. Paranoia was absolute. The surviving admirals wouldn't speak aloud. They communicated by writing on tablets, then burning them. They no longer feared death. They feared being seen. Whispers spread that Earth's agents didn't target military targets anymore. They targeted names, ideas, egos. Entire bloodlines were vanishing. Dynasties ending without a sound. They voted for surrender. Not peace, surrender. Full withdrawal. No conditions. Return all territory. Pay reparations. Sign declarations of guilt. Anything, just to be left alone. Messages were sent to Earth. No response. Another week passed. Then another. More disappearances. One entire diplomatic corps gone mid-flight. The last log showed the ambassador whispering, there in the ship, to himself before the feed cut. No breach. No evidence. Just empty chairs. A desperate fleet launched toward Earth's border. One last gambit. Not to attack, just to speak, plead, explain. As they approached the Kuiper line, all contact ceased. Their ships were later found adrift, unharmed, fully powered. No damage. No interference. Every crew member missing. Left behind was a single transmission beacon looping one phrase in human standard. There are worse things than war. Inside the Ascendancy's core archive, a hidden file unlocked. It was not opened by Earth. It opened itself. A list of names scrolled on the main screen. Code names. Obscure. Unused for centuries. Ghost files. Each name followed by one word. Active. Project Cerberus. Project Spectre. Project Iron Widow. Project Night Mother. Project Black Choir. Project Eclipse. Baba Yaga and the Boogeyman weren't unique. They were early deployments. First wave. Proof of concept. And now Earth had reactivated them all. The implications shattered what little composure the Ascendancy had left. They had assumed Earth had lost control of its monsters. That these beings were feral responses to trauma. They were wrong. Earth never lost control. Earth had waited. Each act, each kill, each whisper, it was measured. A demonstration. Not retaliation, but performance. Every terror was part of a larger rhythm. Every legend, a note in a requiem. When one Ascendancy warlord demanded Earth respond to peace offers, a new video was received. Footage of the warlord's home being emptied, silently. His children removed from their beds mid-dream. No struggle, just still images. Then, the warlord himself, seated in a chair, alive but hollow-eyed, repeating, they don't want peace. They want memory. Galactic systems began implementing Earth-level compliance codes. Not out of alliance, but appeasement. Planets renamed cities after Terra monuments. Some rewrote historical records to include human victories that never occurred. It was worship disguised as strategy. The galaxy forgot how to oppose Earth. Not because it couldn't, because it didn't dare try. One final message came, not from Earth, but from deep Terran AI core systems, translated into every known language. Voice genderless, emotionless. This is not revenge. This is the maintenance of consequence. You killed 99 million. That weight remains. That debt does not disappear. We do not accept apologies. We do not forget impact. You cracked the gate and invited the dark. Now the dark remains. We will not repeat. We will remember. No name signed it. No coordinates returned. Because no one knew where the monsters truly were. They could be in the stars, or in your walls, or already in your thoughts, buried and waiting. The Boogeyman stopped killing. The Baba Yaga vanished. The galaxy breathed a fragile sigh of relief. Until one merchant vessel, drifting off course near a Terran debris field, reported hearing something strange on open comms. A soft voice, barely audible. I haven't chosen in a while. Then silence. Earth never retaliated. It simply made itself unforgettable. And in that silence, the universe learned the final rule. You do not erase humanity. Because if you try, humanity erases you.